For our next speaker, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Marlon Sorongon.
There are two types of organizations that exist in our cyberspace, no? In this very challenging cyber threat landscape. The first organization are the one who has experienced cyber attack and has experienced costly breaches. So when I say costly breaches, it could impact NPC, data privacy, and security breach. The second organization is the one who are expecting to be attacked or to be successfully encountering a cyber attack which could compromise their systems and eventually lead to a potential fine, regulatory, and some other worse impact, no, in terms of infrastructure and systems failure and downtime. So which organization or company you belong, guys? It could be your company, my company, or everyone else organization. Again, good afternoon. I am Marlon Sorongon. I am the CISO of Maybank Philippines and formerly a CISO also of Maybank New York, but due to circular guidance released by BSP, I was forced to leave the post. My topic for today is about cyber resiliency, how to cope up during crisis of cyber attack and incident that could adversely impact your infrastructures and system. Okay? So, we cannot discount, and we can always see, everywhere else in newspapers, conferences, even in panels or sessions, left and right, ransomwares, even if you recall what happened to PhilHealth, how there are data breaches, and they were summoned by NPC, DILG, and DICT to explain what was happened. Not only PhilHealth, there are several banks that was also affected. Our challenging the most challenging part of organization is to help counter these common attacks which are most concerned about. Okay? So number one is ransomware. Ransomware is simply like when you encountered a virus in the past, it just disrupts a system. 10 to 15 years ago, the motivation of attackers just simply slow down your system, infect your system with a virus and a Trojan. But they are not stealing your money. Right now, it's different. The intention is inflict your systems with a malicious software. Then when you open your systems, you can see a ransomware message asking you for money, because if you cannot pay a ransom, they will publish your information in the dark web. Dark web is a different type of gameplay, These are informations that are normally unauthorized access and was provided by hackers with an intention of inflicting damage to organization due to regulatory or compliance issues. Number two is malicious insiders. These are common among banks. That's why it's important that we do a background investigation of our employee so they can collude with attackers. And if I can just share something, there was also a post in dark web. They are asking an information security professional working in a bank or a CISO to collude with them, and they're going to give them $2 million. Imagine the pay, yung perang ibibigay sa CISO just to collude with those attackers. So this is very important to do some or conduct some due diligence in your employees. Before you hire someone, make sure that they are being cleared, background investigation, and check yung mga previous employer's history niya. Okay? Social engineering and fraud, this is also one of the most challenging, I would say, day-to-day thing that we always encounter. During our review of our top risks, fraud risk is one of the top risks that was commented by our board that should be invested heavily in terms of security automation and integration. So later on, I would explain much more about these controls and technologies. Third party supply chain is about vendor management. We have partners, we have vendors that work together to make sure operational sustainability within banks are achieved, no, in a more resilient and stable manner. So they are also important to conduct due diligence. So these are the most common kind of cyber challenges that we encounter. Now, allow me to give you some insights, valuable insights, on how to overcome these challenges by introducing a cyber resilient structure or strategy. Okay? Our current cybersecurity threat landscape remains dynamic and challenging. There are several adversaries that has already emerged. Imagine the introduction of generative AI and machine learning. They are using AI to introduce a more sophisticated attack. Using AI, you can simply automate an attack, and it can generate a simple phishing or spear phishing in seconds. For example, I can ask AI, how can I send a phishing email to Manila Times? It can generate an answer in seconds. Then, can you help me create a phishing email like I'm a employee of Manila Times sending to all employees of Manila Times that they are not going to receive a bonus. Okay? So imagine, if you receive that kind of email that you're not receiving a bonus, panic ka. So it's a behavioral and psychology kind of attack. Definitely, some of you will click the link. Okay, so example lang po yun, no? But it's effective, by the way. Yeah? So, creating this kind of sophistication will make our work our work difficult, no? If you're not prepared or you're not anticipating this kind of threats. That's why CISO, information security professionals, are heavily investing, especially sa banks, no? We are what we call yung trailblazer. I know Sir Lito is a trailblazer in terms of digital transformation, no? Not only in financial but in our country. But historically, banks, because we are heavily regulated by BSP, so we introduced itong mga, sometimes, mga unang klaseng mga technology to put or in place a controls to help combat itong mga security and fraud kinds of attacks. But, DXC technology, no, this is just an information that I captured from an article in a weekly IT magazine article. Resiliency cannot be achieved by creating process and technology alone. Okay? What makes an organization resilient is the people. So in charge of its assets and its data. So I believe firmly that there are three pillars that we need to maintain, and to make it stable, you have to put balance into three pillars: the people, the process, and technology. So they always equate. Without people, no one will manage your process and your technology. Without technology, people can no longer use tools. They cannot utilize tools to support these processes. Without processes, you don't have standards or policies you need to follow so that you can define a universal sets of practices. So this should equate. So para siyang triangular kinds of pillars. So in terms of transformation, these three pillars as well are important. Okay? Now, to become more resilient, there's what we call proactive strategy. No? So we try to transition from reactive to a proactive strategy, and it becomes a more status quo kind of processes. Okay? Now, as a result, financial industry started to look more effective ways on how to become more resilient. I used to recall in the past, there are so many manual processes that we do in banking. Lalo na yung patch management namin, review ng firewall, wala pang enterprise architecture, no? IT architecture and security architecture. So, simply define, parang nagde-design ka ng isang building na merong security in place. no, before you build that building. So right now, we call it security by design. So these are some of the things that help us allow identify yung mga organizational profile namin in terms of being a resilient organization. So, what's the benefit of being a cyber resilient organization? Sorry please bear with my throat, no? I'm having problem. So, these are the benefits of a cyber resilient organization, of course, no? Banking kasi, sometimes we tend to innovate and introduce something that would allow our client to be more interested in our products. But somehow, when we try to innovate and introduce itong mga transformation, we compromise a lot of things, especially yung mga securities. But of course, itong mga klase ng initiatives, we can always put balance into that by simply looking a strategy that won't compromise customer centricity. So it is important na while you innovate, you introduce products and attracts customer, do not compromise controls. Why? Because we also tackle several areas, like we want to reduce financial losses by combating fraud. We want also to achieve legal and regulatory compliance like BSP, NPC, DICT. Then, we want also to improve our security culture and internal process and protect the bank's reputation. Okay? So, what is our focus right now? Okay? To become more resilient, we focus more on better detection and proactive strategy, which is a key part of our cyber resilience program. So later on, as I move forward with my presentation, I will introduce some strategy that allow you guys, once you go home and muni-muni kayo, whether what I've said is really something that you have to perform in your organization or put in place in your company. But before I proceed, let me just describe you what is cyber resilience. No? Cyber resilience, according to World Economic Forum, which I get from the article, no, version 2022, so it is the ability of the organization to anticipate, withstand, recover from, and adapt to any stress, failures, hazards, and threats to its cybersecurity resources within the organization and its ecosystem. Okay, so in short, just remember lang itong 4 word: anticipate, withstand, recover from, and adapt to. So it's like, sa personal opinion ko, it's like a company grit, no? Grit is your ability to recover from any challenging situation. Once you encounter that, you know how to do something, you know how to improvise, and later on recover from it. So, yan yung tinatawag namin cyber resiliency. Now, it has so many aspects. It also needs a holistic approach from top to bottom. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm not trying to tell everyone here that what I'm doing in Maybank is perfect. But based on my 20 years of experience, these are the most common strategy that we put in place, not just in financial, but also other industry. And I know some security practitioners knows this well. Okay? So how to achieve a cyber resilient culture? This equates the 3 pillars. It includes the people, includes technology, and includes the processes. The first thing that you have to put in mind is always invest in technology. Why? Big chunk of our cybersecurity controls are driven by technology. Wala pong antivirus na manual. So, normally, it's automated. So, when it comes to automation, IT lang po ang pwede mag-support niya. So, when it comes to IT, it's technology-driven. Then, yung mga sinatawag nating firewall, IPS, and other technology devices that allows us to put controls and evaluate our security risks, those are driven by technology. Next is crown jewels. your continuous risk assessment, cyber incident response, awareness, proactive risk management, crisis management, governance and compliance, and third-party risk management. So these are areas that I would say critical for the organization to make them resilient in terms of cyber attack and incident response. Let me give you some brief concept on what are those technology tools that I was referring earlier. Okay? So, invest in technology and adopt a zero trust principle. Medyo bago po yung zero trust, no? When you say zero trust, don't trust anyone unless they are verified and validated. Then, i-combine nyo pa ng mga technology controls such as multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication simply defines once you're authenticated, you ask again another level of authentication. Yan yung nakikita nyo minsan na OTP or mga SMS, additional verifier, no, to allow you to access something. That's what we call MFA, multi-factor authentication. Email and web filtering security. Sometimes it's hard for you to send an email, it's blocked. You cannot access your personal email because it's blocked. So those are controls that are normal to banking industry, and sometimes there are exceptions for that, especially yung mga VIPs, no? Then endpoint detection and response, ito yung mga antivirus, anti-malware, mga EDR. So these are common controls that we put in our desktop, laptops, and other productivity devices. Privilege and access management. I know some of the IT guys here knows about access management, and you have this super user, super administrator, root administrator. So it's important that we manage those access level as well. Okay? Security baseline and hardening before you deploy your server, dapat harden siya. Meron siyang tinatawag na hardening guidelines. Okay? This is too technical. I'm so sorry about sharing this if some of you cannot really apprehend, no? But these are technical terms that I use because these are technology-driven type of initiatives. Then SIEM or log correlations allows you to have a visibility on what's happening to your computers. Alam nyo ba na when you establish a security operation center, someone is looking at your computer. You just don't know it. So merong mga in-install na agent doon, they're looking at your computers, not by the way, no, look what you do, but they are looking on those risk area ng PC nyo that might compromise those devices. Pero hindi nila, they are not looking on what you're doing, hindi nila yung concern. They're just looking for what's happening in your device. Baka meron diyang naka-infect ng machines. Okay? Obsolescence in monitoring, it is important to monitor your outdated servers, computers, and devices. So when I say outdated, the current version of Windows is 11 and you're using Windows 7. So it's impossible, no? Windows 7 is highly vulnerable na. You have to replace it. So it's important as well to monitor those obsolescence devices. Okay? Then identify your crown jewels. When I say identify your crown jewels, each company has different types of risk profile. When I say risk profile, what are your most critical assets? In banking, our most critical assets, of course, is the money of our customer. We also have customer account number, personally identifiable information, and other information na once leaked, we are liable to our regulators. So we have different guidelines, standards set by regulators to help secure those information that I've shared. No? Then there are also other companies na meron silang crown jewels like sa Meralco, utility company. They are not merely concerned about information but mostly on operations. Okay, so yun yung assets nila. So it's important that you know your valuable assets so that you know how to protect your assets. Okay? Then similarly in cybersecurity, you cannot detect, remediate vulnerabilities if you don't know and if you cannot see those assets. Okay? Continuous risk assessment is also a practice among financial industry. That's why sometimes we hired third party to conduct security audit, because it's better that someone from outside telling us what's wrong with us rather than someone inside telling me what's wrong with me. Okay? So hindi siya parang nawalan siya ng check and balance. You cannot audit yourself. So it's better that someone from outside your organization telling you what's wrong with your practices and processes. Now, once you identify risk, make sure you have to classify your risk according to your severity. Once you have these assets, identify the risk of your assets, group them accordingly, according to criteria and severity, classify them on high, medium, low. So from there, you can prioritize your risk and define a roadmap which risk you're going to remediate early or as soon as possible. So meron dyan mga low-hanging fruits. What? Or just I've said earlier, meron kayong obsolete na Windows 7. Then you have Windows 10. Then meron na ring Windows 11. Definitely, you need to prioritize Windows 7 because that is the most high risk. Then secondary na lang siguro yung Windows 10 because that's one way, no? I mean, one down version pa lang ng Windows 11. So these are just some examples, no, on how you prioritize your risk. Okay? Then remediation also needs timeline. You need to provide the board and the management what's your program in remediating those risks. By the way, I don't know if Manila Times as well do this, no? Itong vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This is important to test your security infrastructure, how stable and how can evade, no, itong mga cyber attacks. So when you say vulnerability assessment, ito yung practice where you identify what are your weakest points and vulnerability points. Then you try to penetrate it. So once you can penetrate it, report it to the management. These are our loopholes and we need to fix this immediately. So you need to define processes and policies in order to do that. So these are common practices na we do in banking. This is also important. This is where you can actually evaluate the measure of your cyber resiliency. This is what we call the incident monitoring and response. So in case incident happens, you must be ready on how to resolve the issue. And you must build capability and capacity. Para bang you write a document telling the management, yes, we are capable and we have the capacity, but when management asks, saan yung capability mo, you don't have people. Okay? So, you must realize that before you tell board of management that our CSERT and monitoring procedures are really indeed qualified to respond to this kind of incident, make sure what you're telling them is true. Because when BSP comes in and challenge you, where is your cyber drill? Where's the result of your cyber drills? And it does not really reflect the true meaning of incident response, you're obligated to be accountable to the management. Okay, so marami na pong ganyang kuro-kuro, no? We have a CSERT, we have a BCP, we have DRP, but when you tested it, hindi siya effective because you don't have the capacity and capability. Okay? Well, of course, no, it's the objective is to minimize damage and prevent future cyber attacks. Conduct regular testing of your CSERT drill or simulation. So, a few weeks back, we have our CSERT drill. We simulate that we have a breach already. So we assume breach. So what did we do? Of course, we know our assets. We know where these assets stored, managed, and processed. So basically, once you have the inventory of your crown jewels, you know exactly where is your ultimate protection. So pag na-breach ka, ibig sabihin yan, your circle of protection, somebody comes into that ultimate assets that they're trying to protect. Hindi naman mag-a-attack ang hacker sa assets na useless. They will definitely attack the most critical assets of the company. Okay, so make sure lang na when they try to infiltrate your circle of protection, pahirapan po natin sila. No? Put as many controls dun sa critical jewels natin. Okay? Then document When you do the drill, document all the lessons learned and continuously improve that. Okay, cyber awareness, this is very important. People is our weakest link, but if you give them the right knowledge and mindset, and they can discern the threats on their own, they could become your greatest allies. For example, you have 2,000 employees, and all of them are educated. You don't need any kind of technology controls, because when they open the laptop and they saw and they understand that this is a threat, sasara lang nila yung laptop nila, di nila papansinin. So what's the risk, right? So sometimes the most weakest part of our organization is the people. So we just continue to educate and educate our users. Proactive risk management, this is more on investing in technology with predictive analysis. So this is where AI and machine learning takes place. Okay, so AI can predict something because it has a lot of data. But this is somehow expensive, no? If you try to explore this, you need to have a good infrastructure, which is the foundational baseline on how to set up ito mga security automation and machine learning platform. Then you need to also proactively analyze rather than contain. Okay. Crisis management, business continuity, and DRP is also critical to the bank. So strategize, plan, and conduct this BCP testing regularly. Okay. Governance and compliance, this is about leadership, tone at the top. So make sure your investment, your technology are supported so that when you deploy it, no challenge at all. Hindi kayo challenge. And lastly, the vendor management. Before you onboard a vendor, dapat you need to conduct due diligence because they might compromise your system. Okay? Baka sila pa yung dahilan bakit kayo na-compromise. So third-party risk management is important. Okay? Sorry. Oh, I'm done? Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I think that's it. I was about to end, guys. So, okay, this is my last presentation. So, this is about third-party risk management. So, I have a Q&A. Yeah.
Thank you, CISO Marlon. We'll be inviting you again on stage after our fifth and last speaker for the final fireside chat.
Yeah. Well, by the way, sorry. Before I end, I would like to thank Manila Times to give me this opportunity to be part of this event. Thank you.